Hey everyone, Max Resnik, Cannabis Practice Leader over at Direct Recruiters, and I have a rare and exciting opportunity to have a conversation with Stephanie Daley. She is the VP of Market Expansion over at Wana Brands, and I can imagine it's been a fun and exciting year for you and your company, Stephanie.
Yes, it really has. It's always fun and exciting as this industry is. But yeah, especially this year, especially the last few months have been very, very exciting for us.
Yeah, you guys have sort of been the talk, I think, at least in my opinion, and from what I've seen, one of the main conversation topics clearly within the cannabis space. And I should, preface the conversation we're going to have by saying that we love the opportunity to talk with people who have this much experience in cannabis, who can really provide thought leadership on what's going on currently, how we got to this point and where we are moving forward. And, as we alluded to, and most people know, Canopy Growth has this option to purchase Wana Brands. How did we get to this point, and what do you think this means, for your company moving forward?
Sure, it's very, very exciting for us. This is why we're just so jazzed. This is something that has been in the works for a long time. We've always been an independent brand. Nancy, our CEO, she co-founded this, bootstrapped it until this Canopy thing. No investors, no outside money whatsoever. And so we've always known that if we want to survive long term, we are going to have to partner with a larger company. This deal really isn't about the short term for right now. It's really looking out once federal legalization does occur, because as you mentioned, it is an option to acquire us, which is what they've purchased. So they haven't acquired us yet. They are actually not able to acquire us until federal legalization does occur. So for right now, it's really sort of business as usual for us. Actually, the large sum of money that you've probably read about that they've paid for Wana is not actually able to be reinvested back into Wana. So we are just operating as we have before, business as usual until they actually exercise their option. What this means for us in the long term is it really just helps solidify us as one of those brands that's going to stick around. As I said, as an independent brand, we've always known, like, gosh, we better do something or we're just going to get run over when these large, huge corporations start moving in after federal legalization. And none of us know exactly what that's going to look like, but we did know that, we're not going to be able to survive and do it alone. And so it was really important to us to find what we believe to be a strong partner. And we feel that Canopy is that great partner for us. One of the main things that I think we're all in agreement with on our side is, I don't think that dispensaries are going to be the end game in the long run here. I think that eventually it's going to open up and you're going to be able to buy THC in places other than just in dispensaries. And so for us, one of the really attractive things about Canopy for us was their relationship with Constellation Brands, because Constellation does bring, of course, a ton of experience with non-traditional cannabis distribution. And so we felt like that is going to be really helpful for us in the long term to get us out to, out into the world, outside of dispensaries, into this whole, unknown that we haven't even, been able to fully wrap our heads around yet, because no one knows what it's going to look like.
Yeah, that's got to be really exciting. And that's, we always talk about, especially in this space, we're sort of flying the plane as it's being built. But in some ways, this plane that, I think Wana is getting on, that plane hasn't taken off yet. Maybe it's not even built. I don't even know if it's been designed. And that's got to be really exciting. And particularly for your position, right? VP of Market Expansion. I know the money's sitting there. You're going to get to it eventually. But do you start to think about, okay, how can we use this? What are our strategies going to be? Or is it too early to have those conversations?
Of course you start sort of thinking about it, it's natural to start thinking, oh my gosh, like, what is this going to mean for when they actually do acquire us, and how are things going to change? And, but it is a little bit too early to start having those really in-depth conversations. For right now, for my role, Wana, we've done all of our expansions through licensing deals. So in Colorado, we have our own production facility and our own, all of our employees here, they're all Wana employees, producing, manufacturing, distributing, all of that. In all of our other markets, we find licensing partners to help us do all of these things. And so it's, for me, I'm like, Wow. Okay. So maybe at least in the short term, maybe we can sort of leverage some of Canopy's relationships to help us find good partners in existing or in new markets, right? Maybe Canopy has an existing relationship with someone that we haven't spoken to yet. So we can kind of maybe tap into their network a little bit and try to help us, just expand in that sense. But yeah, as far as, oh my gosh, now we've got all this money and we can completely change our expansion strategy, we're not quite there yet.
That's exciting to think about, though. And a
Yeah.
lot come up on the horizon. You're nearly a decade into this space, specifically in Colorado. Um, how could you have envisioned, when you started in the industry so many years ago, that you personally would be at this point, which is phenomenal and congratulations, or that you
Thank
would
you.
be a part of, a company that, it has grown as much as it has and now has this deal on the table? I mean, was that ever even enter into your thought about, what that success could look like for you?
No, I it really didn't. I started in the industry quite a while ago back in California when I was in grad school around 2004, 2005, around that time frame.
Wow.
And so I started out in cultivation just as a side job while I was a broke grad student, and at that point in time, I mean, it was just about growing flower and like there was some extraction happening. But as far as all of these different products and all of these things, I mean, this was so far from anything that I thought, 15, 16 years ago when I was just getting started. As the industry started maturing, I kind of, one thing I always say that I think that I've done right in my career is I've sort of been able to look ahead and think, okay, wait a minute. I don't know that this cultivation thing is going to be a super long-term goal for me personally. What else do I need to learn? What skills can I get behind me here that'll make me, really valuable in this industry? And I've made my way through all different organizations. I moved to Colorado in 2010, so it wasn't even recreational here yet. I was here for that whole transition, working in the industry then, and I've always just kind of had the forethought to think, okay, well, what else do I need to learn? Every time that I've decided to make a move in my career and go work for a different company, it was basically always because I felt like I had learned everything that there was to learn in my current position or at the current company, and it was time to move on and do something else. And really, I felt the last piece that I was sort of missing was this infused products experience, right? I definitely had some from previous jobs, but not fully focused. We're not even touching plants anymore. We don't even have our own cultivation kind of thing. And so for me, it's been a really good move to come into Wana. But yeah, this is like my wildest dream. I mean, if you would have told me this, 15 years ago that I'd be sitting here today doing what I'm doing now, I would have said, you're absolutely crazy. And that would be the most amazing thing ever.
How remarkable is that? Okay, so you're a forward-thinking person, which I love. And that I love that part about you because that's what I wanted to ask you about next, right? Like I think we, generally speaking, have an idea of where we see the industry moving. But I'm curious, everyone reconvened this year in Vegas for MJ BizCon. And without getting, too far into a discussion about that, I think one of the major takeaways for me was that people genuinely miss that human interaction. And it seemed like there was like a real buzz there just about, let's get together, let's discuss where the industry has been and where we're going. And I do wonder, in Vegas next year, what will it look like? What sorts of conversations will we be having about what the last 12 months have been, without getting too specific, maybe, in terms of predictions? How do you see the industry continuing to evolve, whether it's the type of products people are consuming, the markets that open up? What's going to be different maybe 12 months from now as you see it?
It's a good question. So I think a couple of things. I think we're going to continue to see really neat products, new product innovation coming on board. I think that people they don't just want THC anymore. There's all other minor cannabinoids happening, and we're just kind of scratching the surface on those and of research and what can they actually do and what is this beneficial for? And, there's CBD, which, that's been around for quite some time now. And I think people are starting to get even more comfortable with it, but there's so many beyond that. So I think we're going to continue to see some really cool innovation in this industry with all different kinds of products coming on for all different kinds of people. I think that so on the other side of that, some of my other prediction is that I think we're going to see more markets open up. I think we're going to see more states come on board with medical. I think we're going to see more medical states transition to recreational. I think that it's just becoming more and more accepted in our country, which is amazing. And I think that with that acceptance, you're getting new consumers into this space who haven't been in this space before. And I've thought, cannabis, no, I don't smoke weed. It's like, no, it's way more. There's way more to it than that. So I think that people are, new consumers are going to continue to come in and realize, oh, it's not just about getting high. There's actually a whole plethora of products here that I can use to help all different kinds of ailments that I might be having. I'm definitely a big proponent of cannabis recreationally, but I also am a huge believer in the medicinal benefits of it. And that's one of the things I think that makes it so unique, is that it can be used recreationally, but also medically too. And so I think we're just going to keep seeing more acceptance, I guess, is my long way of answering that question, whether that's, new people coming in, then new products coming out of that, and then also a lot of new markets opening. I think I'm shocked at some of the ones that have already opened. I'm like, really? That one? I thought that would have been one of the last ones to go.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I like the acceptance part of it, right? I think as much as we can talk about which states will come online and what other innovations will arise, in some ways, I think an argument can be made that may be the most important thing, is that acceptance, breaking down the stigma, decades and decades and decades of, frankly, lies and misinformation, right? So it's the opportunity to reverse that. And maybe it comes through ballot initiative. Maybe it comes from, people interacting with their peers who've tried it for various things, whether it's medically or recreationally. But I do think that part of it, and I really hope you're right, and I think you are, that acceptance piece, breaking down the stigma, can't be overlooked, because it sets the stage for everything else.
It really does. It really does. It's been really neat to see. I mean, we get a lot of feedback, consumer feedback. They'll write into us and tell us, oh, wow, I found your products and it's really changed my life because of X, Y, and Z. They had issues with something. And it's really neat to see people who would, like I said, they had the stigma. They would say, weed, I'm not going to smoke weed. It's like, no, you can use cannabis in so many different ways. And I just think I just see acceptance really just becoming more and more of a thing over the next few years.
So one of the things that you touched on earlier was how you've grown in this space, right? Going all the way back to your days in California, 15, 16 years ago. And you really hit on, I think, something important, which is that you saw opportunities in cultivation, and then you kind of understood how that worked, and then you looked for the next step, and you made the transition all the way to infusion. And so you've seen so many different sides of this industry. You've seen what it takes to be successful in it, both as an insider and someone who is part of a larger organization watching that grow and develop. Obviously, we get a lot of questions about, what can I do to enter the space? What can I do to differentiate myself? Now that the space has matured a little bit more, I'm curious to see, what you would tell somebody, and I'm sure you're having these conversations as well, probably just as much as I am. What do you tell people about how they should approach a transition into cannabis, and what's really going to make them an effective leader in the space?
Sure. So whenever I'm talking to people who are trying to get into the space, one thing that I always look for is a passion for the plant. A passion and a respect for the plant, I think, is something that is really, really important to have if you're going to join this industry. And I say that as someone who's been in the industry a long time. I feel as though I have a really deep appreciation and respect for the plant. Or I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't, right? This industry is hard. It's really difficult. It's extremely regulated. You can say it's highly regulated. I will say it's extremely, extremely regulated, to the point that it makes our daily lives really difficult. And unless you have that extreme connection to appreciation for and respect for the plant, it makes some of these days really difficult. There are just so many times, I'm talking to people, and they think they understand the industry, and then it comes down to, they don't even realize that we can't ship our products across state lines, right? And now we have to produce them in each market. And they're like, what?
Yeah, it's that
And so,
fundamental thing.
yeah, you know, and so it's like, yes, this is a new, exciting, and fun industry, but it's also really, really difficult. And so the thing that keeps me going on those days when you're just like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? This is what we're doing seems nearly impossible, is because I believe so much in this plant and getting the products out to the people. It's really a very deep passion of mine. And so that's one thing that I look for when we are hiring people onto our team. I definitely look for, are they passionate about this, or are they just kind of getting into it because they think it's something new and cool, you know? And of course, there's plenty of people in this industry who probably don't have a super deep appreciation for the plant, but I think it makes your days a lot more difficult. And, you know, I know at Wana, we really like to hire people that do have that respect and appreciation for the plant.
That's awesome. Stephanie, thank you so much for your insights on your career, the future for Wana Brands, which is really exciting. And as we said, still to be determined, right? And I think that only adds to it. And, you know, what advice you would give people. I think, you know, these kinds of conversations, especially with where the industry is today, are just really important for helping people inside and outside of it understand everything that's going on. And it is so dynamic. So thank you for taking the time to do it and the opportunity to speak with you.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure.